Priya ma'am.
Sir, shall I start?
Yeah, Professor Pandian.
Pandian, sir?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am will start.
Good evening, one and all. In order to stand out from the rest of the competition, both domestically and internationally, schools need to differentiate themselves and make their value proposition shine brighter than others. To do so, having an agile, diverse, and creative workforce that is continuously learning, adapting, acquiring, and perfecting new skills is absolutely essential. This makes upskilling and reskilling indispensable practices in any educational institution. Welcome to the first technical session of 6th All India Educators Meet. The topic for this session is NEP and COVID-19, an opportunity to transform Indian education system with blended learning. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the resource person, Professor Sevuga Pandian Asirvatham, Head Department of Computer Science, Kristu Jayanti College. Professor Sevuga Pandian, with over 20 years of teaching and industry experience, is very popular amongst youngsters and elders alike, and has shared his knowledge and expertise in many important conferences and programs. He has authored books and published papers in peer-reviewed journals. Sir has contributed much in developing the Kristu Jayanti learning management system and has played a lead role in training the faculty members, coordinating and executing the smooth conduct of blended learning in Kristu Jayanti College. Above all, he is a very charismatic, God-fearing, and dynamic teacher who is loved equally by his students and faculty members. Sir, we are extremely happy to have you with us today and extend a warm welcome to you. Sir, over to you for the session.
Yes. Most respected Father Principal and dear fathers and the delegates from various institutions, it's a great honor and privilege to address this August gathering this evening. So as ma'am introduced, so the title or the session heading is to discuss about an opportunity to transform Indian education system with blended learning. So here, if you see the agenda, what we are going to discuss this evening, I'm going to touch a little bit on NEP 2020 as an overview. Then I'm going to introduce to the blended learning concept. Then what are the benefits by introducing the blended learning each and every institution are going to gain? And what is the role of teachers in blended learning environment and role of students in blended learning environment, open educational resources, and most of the, the platform was explained or shared by our chief guest, and the platform where you can design the blended learning concepts, then the implementation and framework, what was defined by the higher education institutions, and what has been given in new education policy. So this is going to be the agenda for this evening. Let me take you to the overview. If you see this, as our chief guest had explained this evening, the school education is going to be modified with the new pedagogical and curricular restructuring of 5+3+3+4, covering the ages from 3 to 18. So you can see the right-hand side image. It starts from the foundation, then it moves to the preparatory, then goes to the middle and the secondary. But where this concept has been, from there, for everything, there should be a point to trigger. So if you see that United Nations had come out with the 17 different goal settings. In that, the SDG 4, it's talking about the quality education. So where they are talking about the inclusiveness, equality, and the quality education. So with that, keeping that as a base, the aim is to have an education system by 2040 that is second to none, with equitable access to the highest quality education for all learners, regardless of a social or economic background. So that is the thrust in which the NEP 2020 was framed. If you see that the formulation of a new and a comprehensive, national curricular framework for a school education, that's the next, the step what we are moving towards. NCFSC will be undertaken by the NCRT based on the principles of the National Education Policy 2020. As our chief guest, mentioned, the most important thing, we are going to concentrate on the early childhood care and education. And the most important thing is, the gross, the enrollment ratio, if you see from grade 6 to 8 was 90.9%, while for grade 9 to 10 and 11 to 12, it is 79.3%. And for 11 to 12, it is 56.5, percentage. So indicating that there is a significant proportion of, enrolled student dropping out after grade 5. So how we are going to encourage that group? How you are going to retain them? So the curtailing the dropout rates, it's another challenge what the, the institutions or the nation, we are going to, look into. Then the most important thing, the restructuring, the school curriculum and the pedagogy, the new setup 5+3+4 design. So the NEP had stated the emergence of digital technologies and the emerging importance of leveraging the technology for teaching learning at all levels. The NEP 2020 recommends for use of blended models of learning. Okay, so how we are going to bring this one? The digital technologies and the emerging importance of leveraging technology for teaching and learning. So NEP 2020 is strongly recommending for the use of blended models of learning. Okay. So now let us see the blended learning, the introduction to the blended learning. Blended learning, what do you mean by saying blended learning? So the new, term, which is widely, addressed or, spoken by, or we are hearing it right now, due to this new normal, the COVID-19 scenario, the entire education system or the delivery of the content, we are looking in a different angle. It made us to look into a different angle. So the blended learning, according to NEP 2020, it's an educational practice of combining digital learning tools with more traditional classroom face-to-face teaching. So we are going to bring the digital learning tools with more traditional classroom face-to-face teaching. See, today's scenario, we are not able to meet our children face-to-face, but there are a virtual platform through which we are able to connect with them. Not physically, but virtually, we are able to connect with them. The blended learning pedagogical, the pedagogical, the approach, if you see, it's a mixture of face-to-face and online activities and the integration of synchronous and asynchronous learning tools. Now, what do you mean by saying, synchronous and the asynchronous, learning tools? There are two things. When you say synchronous learning tools, for example, we are connected in Zoom. I'm sharing the information to you. Everybody is listening to me. At the same point of time, I'm using a presentation. So you are able to hear me as well as you are able to see the content. So this is, lively, which is happening. But when you see the synchronous, the teacher who is delivering the content, on the other end, there should be a platform where the students should go and refer, to go and do some kind of an assessment, go and do some kind of an work or the assigned by the teacher. So asynchronous learning tools, this online setup is not going to be there. After the school hours, the child has to go back. The teacher is going to give some kind of a work. We call it as a homework or after school assignment, you name it, whatever it is. But the child has to do something after their regular school hours. So that means without a teacher, the student has to do some kind of an work or the assignment with respect to the content delivered in the class. So one such example for a blended learning, most widely used, concept called flipped classroom. The flipped classroom aims to utilize technology in order to rearrange the learning experience and maximize the effectiveness of valuable face-to-face time in the classroom. Now, what did it mean? Before a child comes to the class, he or she should know what content my teacher is going to deliver today. So assigning some work previous day, where the teacher is going to tell, okay, my children, read a half an hour of the content what I have given in the, my learning management system. Go there, read the content, and come back to the class with the questions. Okay. So if you see that one, the entire learning cycle and the teaching cycle, it's going to have more effectiveness by doing this way. Because the child knows what they're going to hear from the teacher. Okay, I have so many doubts in this particular topic. So everything can be addressed very much easily when this flipped classroom concept has been, we can introduce here. So now if you see that one, the blended demands, this blended learning demands consideration of several factors. Okay, mainly focusing on learning outcomes, as our chief guest said, and the learner-centered instructional environment. Okay, what they have to do. If they do, what outcome they are going to gain. So that's what. So each and every lecture or the hour, what the teacher is going to deliver, there should be a lesson outcome. Okay, so every lecture hour should be connected with the lesson outcome. So when you see that one, see, that is what the learning management system provides you. Anyway, in the later slide, I'm going to explain to you how it can be done. So the learning outcomes you need to link with your, content delivery, and it should be a learner-centered instructional environment. Okay, so there should be a procedure. There should be a, what you can say, a process to where to start and where to end. Okay, so let me move on to the next slide. So what are the advantages or benefits, okay, you have by using this, blended learning concept? The advantages of blended learning for students include increased learning skills, greater access to information, improved satisfaction and learning outcomes, and opportunities both to learn with others and to teach others. Okay, so this is one of the most important, advantage what you see here. Okay, so the increased student, increased student involvement. So he is engaging, with the content what you have provided. So blended learning brings that one increased learning skill. Okay, so the extra mile to go after the class or to work on something, okay, so which satisfies my learning, the learning experience. Then not only that, it enhances the teacher and the student interaction. Okay, so say for example, in my, the blended learning, it brings not only the face to face, even there are activities or tools which allows the teacher as well as the student to have a interaction on the basis of what the content has been delivered. That is number two advantage what we have. Then the children becomes a responsibility for learning. They are taking the process by themselves. So after the class hour, you are going to give, these are the things you have to complete. And another important thing is you can give a time. It's a flexible learning process. We call it as a self-phased learning. You give a time, okay, week time you take and understand the concept. So we are able, easily, address the smart learner and the slow learners by bringing this blended learning concept into our education system. Not only that, the research, the recent research had, identifies, the benefits of BL. Say for example, opportunity for, collaboration at the distance. Okay, so now we are not able to come to the school. So through online, we are able to connect. So if you have a blended learning concept and the supported platform, so there is a provision for opportunity for collaborating at a distance. So you can have, the school or the teacher can connect with an expert. Okay, the expert can come and help. Okay, so for the discussions, maybe in the evening after the class hour. So if you want to have some kind of an expert to come for the, discussion, that is possible. So opportunity for collaboration at the distance. Then you see that increased flexibility. What do you mean by this? So the technology enabled learning allows the learner learning anytime, anywhere. There is no restriction. If you have a gadget, if you have a, the device, so anytime, anywhere, you can open the content, you can read it. Letting students learn without the barriers of time. That is, I told you, that is a self-paced learning. Then increased interaction. So the BL platform is going to provide a greater interactivity between the students as well as, the teachers. There are so many methodologies, so many activities we can define. It could be a discussion forum, or it could be a chat application. So where the platform is going to provide both teachers as well as the students, so they can have, the discussion based on the content, what they have delivered in the class. Then not only that, enhanced learning, additional type of learning activities. Okay, improves the engagement, can help the student to achieve the higher and the more meaningful levels of learning. Okay, so we are looking into the next level of, the cognitive understanding of the, the subject. It is not only the understanding or the remembering. So the child has to move to the next level. They should able to apply the mind to design something new. Okay, so the bookworm concept or bookworm writing the examinations is going to be, in the coming days, it's going to be, eradicated from the system. So everything, it's going to be applying the thought process, applying the new concept, and bringing out, the output. So we are able to understand, or we are able to assess a student. Okay, he or she has done the job. Then learning to be a virtual, citizen. So now this pandemic, the situation forced us to do this, correct? So the learners practice the ability, to project themselves socially and academically in an online community of inquiry. Today you see there are plenty of open platforms are available, and so many open source platforms are available, where the child can gain, you know, enormous, the knowledge. Okay, it's like, you go to a site and you get all the details. Okay, so the learning cycle, the learning to be a virtual citizens. Okay, so which we lacked, back, but now this generation of this, time period, we are forced to get into this, virtual citizens. So digital learning skills are becoming essential to be a lifelong learner. Okay, so anytime, anywhere, irrespective, there is no time barrier for me. So blended learning brings all these, the benefits. And the one last thing I can explain about the blended learning benefit, it provides making, the learning resources and experiences. It is not one time. It can be used repeatable, reliable, and reproducible. These 3 R's are very important with respect to blended learning. Let me say again, repeatable, reliable, and reproducible. So once the content you have prepared in a blended learning or in a flipped classroom, as an example I gave you, flipped classroom concept, it is repeatable. Here and there, little fine tuning can be done. It is not every time you're going to come with the new content and preparing it again and again. No, you store it in the learning management system, store it as an activity. So it is repeatable. We are able to use the same content. If at all, if you need any kind of, the renewal of a content, yes, you can do it. It is reliable because you are the one who prepared. You know from where to start, where to end. How about your children? So you know everything. So it is a reliable source. And it is going to be a very secured platform where you're going to keep all your content and reproducible, the day I told you. So these are all, the advantages, what you see here, with respect to the benefits of a blended learning. Okay. So next to one, role of teachers in the, blended learning environment. So now, if you see that, from knowledge provider to a coach and mentor. So hereafter, so once the role of teachers in a blended learning environment, it's getting transit from, the knowledge provider to a coach, to be a mentor. Okay, so who can give guidance, how to learn, okay, and what are the things has to be done. So based on the capability or based on the assessment what we have done, so the individual attention can be given very productively by using this kind of, blended learning environment. And blended learning provides teachers with the fuller, more accurate picture of how each student is doing. Your dashboard or the platform where you are developing this blended learning concept, it provides you a 360-degree view of a child. Okay, so from the starting point where they are, the progress, okay, the completion progress, or we say the competency progress of an individual student. Then the blended learning yields more frequent and more personal teacher interaction with individual students. Teacher have the opportunity to deepen and strengthen the, the relationship. Okay, so you are there. Okay, so the, the blended learning brings, both of them together in one particular platform. So after the, the school hours, so you can have an activity, they can call you. So you are connected with the teachers are connected with the children. Then the blended learning combines the best aspect of online learning with the best aspect of direct instruction, helping teachers easily to manage to much more to meet student need without adding to an already overload. Okay, so it's a very, what you can say, easy, way of delivering the content, monitoring the student progress. So blended learning brings all these kind of advantages. Okay, so that is the role of teachers in blended learning environment. Then when it comes to the students, you can see here the increased student interest. See, today's the technological upgradation and the devices what we have with us, the technology integrated with these devices, it brings the children towards the gadgets. So the increased the student interest, the BL, the role of student in a BL environment, automatically the child is getting increased, the interest is getting increased. Okay, let me go to the my gadget. Let me open my the teachers learning management system. Let me see what they have done. See the content. Anyway, I'll come to that one, how you can make it as an interactive content when it comes to the implementation. Then the focused, okay, the focused for a long time. If you are asking your child to read a book or anything like the hard copy or the paperback books, so the what you can say, the focused can be easily getting deviated. But here, because of the content, the way you prepare and the way you interact with the students through the content. Okay, say for example, gamification is one of the most important thing. Today, the multimedia had giving us the advantage of bringing the content with much more gamification concept. Okay, we can encourage the child. Okay, so anyway, I'm jumping, I think, one step ahead. The implementation of you can say the encouraging. Today you can see that one, most even the IT industry, their learning cycle, if you see that one, you complete this module and you can gain these many badges. Okay, so it's like complementing for each and every activity what the child do there in the course of learning. So that brings the more interest to the child. Yes, today I have earned this many, earned this many badges. So keeping the focus for a long period of time, it's a great advantage bringing BL into our education system. Then provide student autonomy. This is very, very important. Each and every child, they can define their learning path. Not everybody wants to start from the foundation. Some students are very smart. Their learning path may start from the middle level, not on the foundational level. Few may be starting from the foundation level. So the BL environment, the blended learning concept, provides the student autonomy. Okay, my learning path, I'm going to start from here. Okay, it's the middle concept. Okay, so foundation I know very well. So I'm coming from the next level. Then he can go and he can do his assessment activity and all this stuff. So his learning curve, if you see, it goes in a different direction, the smart learner I'm talking about. On the other end, the child who wants the foundation, yes, he or she also can grow in that particular learning path. It totally gives a what you can say, the student autonomy. Then the self-driven and responsible. They know they have to complete. Even though we say it is a self-paced, there is an exit point. They know their responsibility, what they have to do today's assessment. They have to complete. Every activity in a blended learning environment, we can give as an action restrictions. What do you mean by that? The flow control. If activity 1 is completed, take activity 2. So there is a self-driven and the responsibility. Okay, if I am not completing activity 1, they know very well they cannot go to activity 2. So the responsibility to complete the activity is more evident when you bring the blended learning concept into our system. Then rapidly analyze, review, and give feedback. Each and every class, every lecture, the student will have a privilege. The student will have a privilege to give a feedback on that particular lecture. How he enjoyed, what was missing. Each and every lesson delivery, the teacher can define in a BL, in the blended learning environment, give your feedback on that particular lecture, or at the end of the subject, they can give it as a whole feedback. So it is, the rapidly analyzing. So it is a very good, platform for even the teachers. Okay, so where I'm missing, what point I'm missing. So how do I change my approach? So everything can be defined over there. Then the last one I said, it's a self-paced learning. So they can have their own, in the sense, self-paced learning in the sense what, it is not a mandatory, like, 9 to 10, you have to do this. You have your freedom of 24 hours. Okay, after your school hours, you take a half an hour, read one particular subject, then take another subject. It is up to, self-paced learning. That's what, even teachers can define it. Okay, so I will give a week time to complete this. So they can use this system at any point of time, and they can learn, okay, from this blended learning environment. Okay. Now, there are some of the platforms, okay? So open educational, resources, open educational, resources are available. Different platforms are available. Say, for example, the one important platform, the recently IIT Kharagpur, they have defined, National Digital Library. Okay, National Digital Library. So if you permit me, I can show you that, just 1 minute. I'll share that screen so you can get the point what I'm talking about. Okay. So this, if you see this website, okay, so one library, all of India, okay. So this is one of the, the best way to address our content, okay. So one is, you can see here, schools. So if you go to schools, so all these, video lectures, books, simulation, self-assessment, various study material, so IIT Kharagpur is working on this, they are bringing out all the content in one particular platform. Okay, and you can see the, books, question papers, solutions, NCERT and other state board. I think you might have come across this particular one. Okay, so this is one, the place, the National Digital Library. So where they are going to make, one platform or a one place where you can access all the open, source, open source resources. Okay, open resource content. Okay, so this is one. Then we have the another thing is, I think our chief guest has explained about this. Then we have, one more thing is the Central Institute of Educational Technology. Okay, so let me show this particular website. So here also you can get a lot of information, for your high, schools, the NCERT MOOCs on SWAYAM. Okay, so these are all some of the, websites where the open resources are available. Okay, so you can see, class 11, class 12 courses on SWAYAM MOOC by NCERT. So all these things are available here. So I think rightly our chief guest has mentioned all our school education, the open resources are all also available in SWAYAM platform. So if you want more on the technical stuff, you can go to NPTEL, which was, the control or developed, the content developed by, IITs and regional engineering colleges. Okay. Okay, let me come back to the presentation. Sorry. Sorry for that. Okay. So digital infrastructure for school education. I think Sir had spoke about Diksha, and he spoke about the e-Vidya and 12 channels for each and every class, individual classes, and e-content. Okay, so these are all some of the resources are available, open educational resources. And when we come to the platform, so how we are going to implement this blended learning concept? The blended learning concept can be implemented in a platform. Okay, so where you are going to design your BL concept. Okay, so one such platform, if you see that in our, Kristu Jayanti College, we have our own LMS, learning management system. We have customized according to our requirement. We have designed a learning management system for our institution. So this one particular platform, we are using it for our entire, student group, as well as the faculty members. Then you have Moodle, you have Canvas, you have Blackboard, Google Classroom, Zoom Learn. I few, the platforms I have put over here. There are plenty of platforms are available. And NEO, the Indian platform, and IIT Mumbai, they have their own LMS platform. Okay. So we are happy, so if you want to get some details about how this learning management system can be, designed, how the BL concept can be incorporated, we are very happy to share our knowledge with you. Okay, so we are very happy to share our knowledge with you. So we have done an enormous study, and now we have our own system, which is satisfying nearly, 10,000 students. So without any, interruption, they are able to access, they are able to read the content, they can able to do the, activities. And to some extent, we are able to, do the assessment, online assessment also. So implementation and the framework. Okay, if you see this implementation, so how you can implement the blended learning, the concept, how you can implement. There are, 4 different ways you can think about. Number one, your learning management system, which incorporating the BL ideas, blended learning concepts, in a local host implementation, where the institution or the school can have a server, local server, where you can establish the, learning management system. You can install it, and within your, the campus, the children can access. This is when they are in a physical setup, when they come to our schools, or, so when they are available inside the campus, we are able to do it, local host implementation. The next one is they are not in our campus. So how do we implement the learning management system? So there is a possibility of web hosting implementation, where you can design an application, learning management system, incorporating all the BL concept, host it on a web. So the children can access anytime, anywhere with the devices. Then the third one, you have cloud platform. So in cloud platform, there are 2 different ways of implementing it. One is called Sas Implementation, or we call it as a software as a service. This is one kind of an implementation. Another one is platform as a service. This is the another way of doing it. This is technically, I'm talking how you can put your system in place. Once you put the system in place, the teacher can prepare an elaborative content. The system will provide, or the system is capable of creating the lesson content provided by the teachers. it could be a lesson activity, or it could be a content page activity where the teacher can provide the content. If you see the Swayam the website, okay, so they have given a very clear information about how the MOOC content should be. So MOOC content is nothing but massive open online content or course. So according to Swayam, whatever the content the teacher are preparing, it should have a 4-quadrant. What are the 4 quadrant? The quadrant number 1 should be the video lecture or the content what the teacher is going to deliver in the class, the crux of the matter. Say, for example, 15 to 20 minutes. This is what I'm going to deliver today. That is going to be the quadrant 1. So when the child comes and reads your content, that is what I'm talking about. The previous slide, in the initial slide, I spoke about the flipped classroom. The previous day, the child is coming and seeing your video. He or she will come to know, yes, this is what my teacher is going to deliver tomorrow. It's very clear. And based on the content, they can prepare a question. So I'm not able to understand this point. Let me ask my teacher tomorrow. So that's how the interaction between the student and the teacher is getting, widened. Then you see that one, the second quadrant is going to be the content, the text, what the teacher is going to deliver in the class. So if you can prepare a lesson content page, or it could be a content page. Okay. So where you are going to, the student should be able to see the text content. You might have seen in a Swayam website. Okay, you can see the video, you can see the the PDF files of a lecture content that can be captured in our the learning management system. Then you have quadrant 3. Quadrant 3, they are talking about the discussions. There should be a sound discussion on a particular topic. The teacher had delivered a content. So he or she can post a question in a forum stating that, what do you think about the concept what I teach today, what I taught today? Okay, so give your deliberation on that particular point. The children will go and do the reading and they can respond back to your discussion forum question. The interaction is getting widened by that. Then quadrant 4 is nothing but each and every lecture, according to the Swayam, the 4th quadrant should be the assessment. It could be a assignment submission, or it could be a quiz, a simple quiz, the quiz with multiple choice questions, or it could be a essay type questions or a short answer questions. However the teacher wants to define it, the assessment cycle, it's freedom. The system is going to provide a multiple options to do the assessment process. So 4 quadrant. Quadrant 1, the video content of the lecture or the class teaching, what your delivery, what you're going to deliver, that should be there. The quadrant 2 should be the text content. And the 3rd quadrant should be the discussion forum, where the discussion, open discussion should happen about the topic which you have delivered. That brings more, the reading part for the child. He or she can read more and she can find out, okay, this is what I have, read from internet. They are explaining in this way. So how you can combine your, the content, what you have delivered in the class. It's a very sound, discussion, open discussion can happen. Number 4 quadrant is nothing but the assessment part. Okay. Now, this is what the content part. Then after the content has been delivered, the most important thing is each and every teacher has to define the lesson plan. So when you define a lesson plan, how you're going to define the lesson plan, you can set your competencies. Okay. So what are the competencies? What you expect from the child? He should be able to understand the concept what I teach. So related activity. He should be able to apply what I taught in the class. You give a related activity. So you can see that one, it's not a time bounding operation. After you give the content, you can give enough time. They can do it in their own self-paced time. Okay, otherwise they are not able to move. As I told you the previous slide, there is an activity restriction control. So after one activity, they can move to the next activity. So from that, you can easily see that one, the progress of each and every child. Once the competency has been set, it is very easy to assess the learning outcomes. Okay, so quiz is one way where you are conducting and you can see the direct one, but that is only one activity. But if you set a competency according to the learning plan or a learning path, you can see the full growth study or a learning process of a child. BL provides that. The BL environment provides that. Okay, the next one, if you see the framework defined by the University Grant Commission according to the NEP 2020, the Indian framework of blended learning, they talk about IPSET. What does I stands for? Identify the resource and learner-centered activities. Identify the resources and the learner-centered activities. What you are expecting? What are the different activities in a course? See, if the teacher goes with an individual lecture, it is very easy. Again, remind you the point, it is repeatable, reliable, and reproducible. The last year I might have done in one way. So now I have got upgradation, additional knowledge about this, the activities. I can add more activities. I need not to, go and start from the scratch. Everything is available there for me. Identify the resources and learner-centered activities. P, provide resources and announce activities on LMS. Identify the resource, learner-centered activities. Then provide the resource and announce the activities in the LMS. So LMS is nothing but the learning management system. I told you in the previous slide, you can use any of the platform. Okay, any of the platform you can use. Moodle is one of the one platform where it is open source. You need not to pay money for anything for the license. You just download that one and you can use it. So in our institution, we have done, so we have taken our, the Moodle platform and we have customized and we have designed according to our requirement. So provide resources and announce the activities on LMS. Scaffolding and support to the learners. Go along with them. So when the child feels that one, feels that you are there. Okay, so, in the discussions, when you are replying back to their discussions, okay, they feel that, yes, these are all the things, my teacher is responding back. Okay, so this is what I have done. The feedback from the teacher, 100% is going to motivate. Okay, so the way what I have thought, it is wrong. Okay, let me do it in another way. Identification of learning gaps and feedbacks. This is very, very important. We need to separate, we need to, BL, provides, for the educators, a wonderful platform to see where the child stands. Okay, so where they are in the foundation level or in the middle level, or they are thinking on the higher level. The testing is nothing but the assessment process. You can run any kind of an assessment process. As I told you already, it could be an assignment submission, or it could be a group work and a group project assignment. You name it. All these possibilities are there. Okay, it could be a essay type questions. any one of this way, you can do the assessment in this, Indian framework of BL. So that is what the IP, the Indian framework of blended learning talks about. Okay, let me share what we proposed. In Kristu Jayanti College, we proposed a framework for this, BL model. We call it as an elite model, where you see the extensive content development planning, where all 4 quadrants should be there in extensive content development planning. The second one, there should be a learning path development, not only keeping the content, not only providing the content. We need to make sure that whether the child is following the learning path, where they are starting, how they are moving, what is the progress. The third one, interactive content delivery. There are so many tools are available. Already I touched about the gamification. One important tool you can see, it's called H5P, where you can bring video with the interactions. After a couple of minutes of video, there will be a questions. The child can answer, then the next part of the video will start. So many interactive content delivery. The mechanisms are there. One such mechanism, what we are using it right now, where the teacher is coming and delivering with a PowerPoint or some kind of a videos or some kind of a material to the child, explaining to them. Transcendent lesson completion tracking. This is what I told you, the competency cycle. How you are going to define the competency, whether they have done or not, each and every activity can be recorded in our LMS. And the last one, enhance iteratively. So what do you mean by this? Based on the feedback, don't keep the content like that. So improvise, add more activities, because the children will give more ideas. Once they complete one kind of set of activities, they may say, teacher, why can't you give another set of activities? I find, this would be a good thing. There should be iteratively, we need to enhance the system. You need to enhance the process. You need to enhance the activities and the assessment cycle. Okay. So blended learning environment gives us a wonderful platform for, the NEP, as I told you in the beginning. This one, the blended learning, due to this COVID and due to this new normal, okay, so we were forced to follow it, but it's a wonderful platform for each and every educator as well as the students to learn and to get knowledge. And, the most important thing is the growth cycle. So everybody can see the competencies achieved and the assessment, the learning outcomes. And when the child comes from the school to the higher education institutions like us, now where the outcome-based education is totally mapped to this BL environment system. Thank you so much for listening to me. If there is any questions, please.
Thank you, sir, for that enlightening session on blended learning. Now the session is open for questions. Participants can put your questions in the chat box. We shall take it up.
So very good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Am I audible?
Sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So very warm good evening to all of you. I'm first of all really thankful to the management of Kristu Jayanti College for organizing such a beautiful and a virtual meet, although it's a virtual, but we're not feeling like that way. And it's a wonderful presentation. Thanks to you for, explaining NEP in a very simplified manner. So I have a small question that NEP gives a proper room to, technology and interactive learning. So my question to you is that, what is the scope of value-based education in NEP? So how we can inculcate this value system in our students, which is dying at a rapid speed. You know, pandemic also has seen a lot of things. So my question, humble question to you is this: is NEP, conducive enough to inculcate this very important aspect of our personality of our children, the values, the Indian values? So can you see, sir, please substantiate and explain, sir? Thank you so much.
Okay. So the NEP, the value system. Okay. See, my preparation is towards on the blended learning. Okay. So if somebody can help me out, so that'll be great.
Sir?
It was Sir, may I?
Yeah. Yes,
Thanks for the question that raised by Mr. Amit. Thank you for that. You know, the NEP is only the framework wherein the entire curriculum must be designed by either by the institution. When it comes to the school education, there is going to be a separate board to decide the curriculum part. And that is going to be the catch of the thing. So when it comes to the higher education, what actually we started doing the things, we have come out with a team to look into all the aspect. In Karnataka, I think they are going ahead with the implementation of the NEP in the college level and the school level the next year. Wherein I think all the aspects, what is going to come in the curriculum, that they have come out with the 5 models of that: model 1, model 2, model 3, model 5. In all the models, when we design the curriculum for a particular year or a particular class, they have made it clear to that the stakeholders. These are the components must be there in each year. So this is not purely the core courses that we are going to teach the student, wherein more focus on the ability enhancement program, where the students will be, the given a certain kind of activity. So the students will be asked to, enhance a certain abilities. That is the one area. Second area, your concern is going to be the in an Indian value system and things how it is going to be. This is again the question of or the people who are going to frame this curriculum at all. I think from an individual perspective, I think we cannot say that part. Again, from the institutional perspective, if you want to have this kind of value-added courses into the part of the curriculum, it can be there. Here, a lot of flexibility is given to the institution, even though there is a common framework wherein a school or college is supposed to follow the framework, wherein a flexibility is given to the particular institution. You can have your own aspect into the curriculum. So it is not the question of somebody else to frame. It is again the question of institution who can devise a certain activity or who can devise a certain kind of courses that is relevant or that would be helpful to have these values in their curriculum. I hope I answer your questions.
Thank you, Father, for the clarification. I shall take up the questions from the chat box. The first question is from Dr. Padmanabha. At what stage can we implement blended learning and flipped classrooms?
What stage in the sense? Can you ask this?
Maybe at what stage of I don't know, Dr. Padmanabha.
Which class?
Which class?
Which class? Okay.
Maybe.
Onwards.
No, it's like, so today, if you can see the online, the accessibility, content accessibility, even from, the primary level, okay? So maybe from the 3rd standard, you can see that the usability, maybe parents' involvement may be there, but the blended learning concept, completing the assignments and doing the work and uploading the things and content reading part, everything can be done from the 3rd grade or 3rd standard onwards.
Okay,
the system is not so complicated. Okay, the system is not so complicated. So the content, what the teacher is going to deliver, it is there in hand, in some kind, in form of, the files or a text or in a PPT or in a kind of a video.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is from Sheena Girish. What kind of help is provided to school to implement blended learning?
From the government level, or what is
No.
the
Maybe
context?
they are asking what type of training support that we can provide from our end. What type of from your
See, we are very much happy to give you the content even from the scratch, identifying the tool, building the platform, establishing the system, and incorporating or the training the each and every individual teachers, how you can set the competency, how you can build the system from scratch to the next level. We are happy to help you out.
Okay, the next question is from Jayalakshmi Koyalamudi. Good evening, sir. How can we implement blended learning in the remote areas with undigitalized students?
It's the real challenge in today's scenario. Okay, so the government, as I know our chief guest said, the government is working on that particular one. Even to the internet goes to the rural part, and a few of the state governments, they are providing the handheld devices to the children, so through which they can access. So that's a real challenge in the current scenario. But in future, believe that so we are going to get the internet to the even to the rural part, and the handheld devices will be given to the child, so they are able to get the content. And that is what, anytime, anywhere, they can do the access.
Sir. Next is from Father Professor Sunny Joseph. Thanks for the presentation on blended learning. Can you propose a method to prevent dropout with the use of blended learning, please?
That's a wonderful question. Okay, so this is like, the dropout scenario, there are different. Okay, so like there are a number of scenarios or a number of issues behind that. But as a technical side or at the content side, if you see, the gamification, okay, so the giving them the interest or encouraging them to do what I should do the next. So that kind of a content the teacher has to prepare. Okay, so we need to see today's the generation, they are tech savvy. Okay, they can be there for number of hours in front of the devices. So the content what we give, if you are able to match to that particular standards, explaining the content with the game, okay, explaining the things with some kind of an object. Okay, so today you can see either a Khan Academy or a Byju's. Okay, they bring that kind of an the interfaces to the child, so it brings some kind of interest. After some time they go there, it's like playing a game, they read or they can learn. So technical side I'm talking, but on the other part, okay, the economical part and the financial, that's a different ball game altogether. Okay, I hope I have answered the question.
From Sister Cyrilla. Excellent presentation and thank you for it. How do you ensure that technology is empowering and not overpowering? And technology has a human face question.
Okay, see, all through my presentation, we never excluded the teacher, because teachers are the educators, are the hero here. The content part is going to come from you. Technology is going to be a supporting material, I mean, the tool, okay, to bring these kind of, the blended learning concept into our, the education system. So nowhere it's going to be excluding that. The technology is not going to overrule, even though we say that there are disruptive technology, but there are human interventions are there. They have to be controlled by the, human beings. The systems are getting automated, but we are not excluding or neglecting any of this, the heroic action of other teachers.
Next is from Johnny CS. How far will blended learning add to or reduce the workload of the teacher given the constraint of time?
Okay, so this is, I told you, it's a one-time, the investment kind of thing. And your ROI is going to be every 6 months or whenever the course is getting over. So if you see that one, the investment, what the content you prepare, as I told you, it is repeatable and it is reliable because you, the one who prepared, you know what is the content you have given. You know very well where are the points you can upgrade in the later stage. And you can reproduce the content according to the requirement of the child. So it is up to us. Okay, so it is, one time you're going to spend, but you're going to use it with the refinement, renewing the process, renewing the activities. You can use it for a long period of time. So otherwise, if you keep the same content, the batch is going to be changed. Each and every batch come with a different expectation. So we should be in a position to, reproduce the content according to the need of the stakeholders.
Thank you, sir. From Kezia Vijay Kumar. Sir, how do we assess blended learning?
How do we access?
Assess.
Assess.
Yeah,
Okay.
assess.
See, yeah. So the thing is, as I told you, the platform is going to be the learning management system, where we are going to bring these blended learning concepts. Okay, flipped classroom. And your question is, how do I assess? Say, for example, as I told you, learning path. That is most important thing. The child has to define the learning path of the entire study cycle. Then the system is going to define the competencies to support the learning path. So when the learning path matches with the competencies, then the step-by-step, it's like a ladder. Okay, you can define a competency ladder and you can see at one point of time, all the activities and the assessment is completed, and it is very easily to assess with respect to the blended learning environment.
So that question is mostly about how this, technology thing can be accessed by the students remotely.
They said assessment, Father.
Yeah, how the students or teachers can access the system. That is more technical in nature.
Okay, there was yet another question like that also, like Father had mentioned, in the poorer sections or in remote areas, how do they access it? And this question was on how do we assess the blended learning? So you can answer the other. I think you have already answered that. Poorer sections and remote areas.
Yes. The assessment part is this: learning plan, learning path, competency ladder. These three things you can define it in a system. And finally, you can see whether the child, completed everything or not. So the competency ladder, what you build inside the system, is the best way to assess. Not even don't take it as an individual activity, but as a club of the together in a subject. So many activities provide a competency ladder, and finally we can see that whether the child is done or not. It's easy to do the assessment in BL environment.
Okay, I think we will wind up for now. Thank you so much, sir, for that enlightening session. You had thrown light on synchronous and asynchronous learning tools, flipped classroom, and explaining in detail what blended learning is, the benefits of blended learning, and how blended learning is repeatable, reliable, and reproducible, and the changing role of teachers and students in blended learning. Thank you so much, sir. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. Gentle reminder to join tomorrow at 4:20 for the second technical session, that is NEP 2020, towards transforming school education. Kindly check the login ID and password sent to your email as well as WhatsApp and join accordingly as per each day's schedule. Thank you all for your participation. Stay safe. See you tomorrow at 4:20 p.m.